What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Felicia Ronk with me. She's with Ronk Residential at Next Home Experience. And I'm excited because I've been following you for, I don't even know, a couple years now on social media and watching you from afar. But this is the first time we're connecting.
I
So
know. It's exciting.
I'm
What a way to connect, right?
Yeah. Hey, I don't know who you are. You don't know me. We know each other from a distance. Let's jump on a podcast and just share stories.
That's good. I love it. I love it.
So Felicia, on here, the whole goal of the Tell Me More podcast is to share your story about your journey getting into the business and kind of where you want to get to in the business. And if another agent out there somewhere in the world resonates with your story, because we all come from different paths. Very rarely is someone like 18 jumps into real estate and that's like their career for life, right? Or if there's like a buyer or seller in our market that just loves you and wants to do business with you, that's what this is all about. So when we get rolling, I always like to start from the very beginning, talking about growing up, what was life like? Um,
Yeah.
just kind of fill me in leading up to kind of your high school, college years. Are you from Columbus or did you grow up somewhere else?
Yeah. So I actually grew up in Delaware, Ohio. So if anyone is familiar with the Little Brown Jug, harness horse racing. Yeah. But my story, goodness. Um, yeah, I always say I grew up like very humble beginnings. My mom she's a huge influence in my life as far as teaching me so much just work ethic and believing in yourself and your dreams. I was the youngest of three, and um, I didn't meet my dad until I was 25.
Wow.
Well, I really didn't have like a father figure in my life for a long time. My grandpa was a huge influence. My grandparents, they fell in love at University of Cincinnati, and they just had a beautiful love story. And I really looked towards them of like the example of what I wanted in life
Yeah.
one day, and a husband who I'm so thankful. COVID, there was a lot of crazy things, but a lot of great things, like my husband and 5 stepsons that came to fruition. So, um, but going back to my childhood, I I was always like just really into sports and had a lot of great friends, and feel very lucky that, oh shoot, so sorry, my phone is ringing. I feel very lucky to have just amazing people around me. But I always knew, even when I was a little girl, like I was destined to do like just serve in a big way and do big things in life. And I'm very thankful for my upbringing. But we struggled. I
Yeah.
mean, my mom, I always say we were so happy poor, because she colored it like that we wouldn't know that we were poor, but we were. She struggled, and she's an amazing woman, very strong, and so I always knew I'm not driven by money, but I never wanted to worry about it. Like,
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
like how we did. And so, yeah, a lot of my family was like artists and educators. And I was like, oh, heck no. Like, bless y'all. But I just knew from the very beginning I had like an entrepreneurial like spirit. Like the minute I could like go get a babysitting job at 15, I worked at Kroger, like pushing carts. Like I just always wanted to have my own money and like take care of myself.
What made you want that serving mentality? Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I didn't think about any of that when I was when I was younger. Like I don't even know other than sports, but I think that's a special gift, that you recognize that very early on.
Yeah. I just, for me, I like, always just wanted to help people, and I always was aware of like my peers around me. I feel lucky I never had to get like go through like any bullying, like any of that, but I didn't like I would notice and stand up for people if I did. And so I don't know, I've just always had like a service mindset and like heart for others. And I just feel blessed because I just have always had amazing people around me. And I always like looked out like for other families or mentors that I kind of gravitated towards people like that, and to
Yeah.
like kind of just embody those types of characteristics.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. Like I said, I didn't. I mean, my stepdad's a pastor, so serving people is just what we did. But it's not like, man, when I'm older, I want to do this, right, or I want to do that. It was so I just thought it was interesting. I don't think most kids think of that, right? Hey, I know I want to serve people, but so you play sports. The minute that you can get a job, you kind of have that motivation, right, to have your own money, things like that. You mentioned that you started doing babysitting, working at Kroger, I believe.
yeah,
Did you go into like anything like starting your own business? I mean, kind of babysitting is kind of like that, but like,
yeah.
you mentioned you always had that entrepreneur spirit. Was it the entrepreneur, or was it, I just wanted to go out and I wanted to make, my own money so I can then go and get my own things?
Yeah, I think the entrepreneurial, like, it wasn't until I looked back when I did start my own business in real estate, and prior to that was a smoothie company. So we'll go back. But I look back and I'm like, okay, I've always had that, but I didn't recognize it until later, right? And
Yeah.
so I joke. I grew up in Delaware, and then um, actually got a running scholarship at University of Dayton. I like
Okay.
wasn't even on my radar, but my coach at the time had told me about Dayton, and I'm like, what the heck? Dead set like OU. I like had OSU on the radar, but anyways, I visited the campus and was actually quite blown away of like it's just gorgeous. I liked that it's faith based. It's a Catholic private school. I wasn't
I
raised.
didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was kind of cool, like just knowing it was kind of a more intimate, like classroom setting, which I really liked versus, a big campus would have been awesome. And I'm a huge Buckeye fan. I love game day. But um, going back to that, I joke because it wasn't cheap there. I mean, any college these days, whether it's private or public, holy crap.
Right.
The cost of tuition. And again, I didn't have like parents supporting to foot that bill. But when my freshman year, you have to choose a major right away. And I was like, I'm going into business. So I did marketing, and I was like, I'll just get all this student loans, and I'll just pay them off like quickly after I graduate with like my big corporate job that I will have. And so I graduated in 2008. So at the time, we all know like market, but also the job market at the time was not so stellar. So
Right.
yeah, but like you said, some people are so linear with like knowing I want to be a teacher, I want to be a doctor. Like I joke, I was a tumbleweed in the wind for a long. Like I knew I wanted to be in business and like do well for myself, but it took a while, a lot of just different wild turns throughout my life before I found my passion and love for real estate. But I just didn't know what that vessel looked like until,
Yeah.
yeah,
I gotta ask, did you go for track or cross?
cross country.
Okay.
And sure enough, I got injured my freshman year. And then by the time I was healing, I had a little sorority girls in my ears, like, hey, do you want to join a sorority? And sure enough, I didn't finish running the rest of the year. So bye running scholarship. But
Yeah.
I joke, I'm like, I was the minority at Dayton because it was like a lot of like wealthy families from Chicago, Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I moved after college. But
Yeah.
all these private Catholic schools, and I'm like, hi, public school, Columbus, Ohio. I'm like the poor kid on campus. No, but I always had jobs. So like even during college, like I worked at a golf course in Delaware. It used to be called Door Knock. It's now Delaware Golf
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah.
And I always like had internships where I again was working, and God bless my mom. She was a teacher at the time, but she picked up like a second job on the weekends to like pay for my books. So again,
Yeah.
work ethic was always there. Um, and my grandparents, my grandma was a Spanish teacher and she was super independent, and my grandpa just basically did whatever Rosalie wanted her to do. So
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you go to Dayton, run, get injured, go through all that.